You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
I'm Christy Landwehr.
And I'm Sarah Honegger, and you are listening to the special monthly NRHA episode of Horses in the Morning on Horse Radio Network for this Thursday, August 8th.
Good morning, Horse World.
It's the second Thursday of the month. That means it's time to slide in to the National Reining Horse Association episode of Horses in the Morning.
Today, in this Reining Podcast episode, we will be getting a behind-the-scenes tour of the iconic 4-6's Ranch and finding out more about their breeding program and stallions. Then we're going to take a visit with Toyon Ranch, who focuses not only with quality stallions, but also amazing mares. Sarah, I am so excited to have yet another fabulous Reining podcast with you. How are you doing?
So good. It's just the heat of summer over here in Oklahoma City, and we are in the thick of raining. So, it's a fun time of year.
So speaking of being hot, I'm in Colorado, and people don't think we get very warm out here, but we're 100 degrees, so we're pretty warm right now. And my son, my eldest, is a whitewater rafting guide this summer, and he started at the end of May, but we decided to wait until August to actually raft with him so that hopefully he won't flip us over. But we're going to go this weekend, so I'll let you know how that goes.
Oh my gosh. Are you worried about being bucked off the raft, or how do you think you'll do?
The son is an adrenaline junkie, so it might be a little frightening actually, but I guess we wear helmets. So there you go.
The option of getting flung off into the water, I don't know. The first thing I would think about, I don't know that it'd be a helmet. I know it's important, but I would have so many concerns.
Well, and crazy enough, there are so many rocks in the rapids that's why. And then they teach you to turn your body around. So you're going down the river feet first. Well, if I'm underwater spinning around, I don't know how I'm going to figure out how to go feet first. So anyways, it's all going to be an adventure.
Well, I'm sure it's going to mean so much to him to share what he's been doing all summer with his family and share that moment with you guys. So I can't wait to hear all about it.
Yes, it'll be a fun weekend. We'll have to chat about it on the next show.
Yes.
It'll be good. So we have something really exciting coming up also this month on the reining side. Tell us a little bit more about the Run for $1 Million and how that all works.
Yeah, so it's one of the most exciting events of the whole year, whether you are an avid reining fan, whether you're brand new. So it's the Run for $1 Million, and it's held in Las Vegas, and it started in 2019. And so this year, folks had to qualify, whether it was last year at the event or at a qualifying event in Arizona. So you'll see the best of the best compete for, it's only one run, and there's $1 million added. So it's a huge deal, and you can watch live online as well. So it'll be so fun. Neither of us will be there in person. We'll both be glued online as well. And I cannot wait to see how it all shakes out.
It's going to be awesome. And a big thanks to Taylor Sheridan. It's, of course, his event, and they put it on. And it's just so great that he's, willing to do so much for the reining industry that he loves so much as well.
Absolutely. And there's a youth shootout, a rookie shootout. There's a non-pro piece of this as well. So I think it's really neat to give love all across the industry. We always talk about how we feel really unique that there's just so many places for so many different people to be a part of reining. And I think he's done a beautiful job showcasing it with this event as well.
And not to mention the South Point Arena and Hotel and Casino is all pretty fabulous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's hilarious because you leave that event and it's been a week and you've never seen the outdoors.
That's true. Or a window.
Or a window. Everything you need is right there. It's so convenient, but you leave and you're like, what an interesting concept,
Well, we're so excited today to have our guests on who we'll introduce here in a little bit, but our whole show is going to be about breeding, breeding your own horse. If you have a mare that you want to, how to pick the stallion, what do you do exactly? All of those things. And of course, it's very dependent upon your breed and your discipline, but we're so excited today to have our guests on about that. So before we dive into that though, Sarah, what have you done? Have you ever had anything exciting as far as a foal yourself, or what is kind of your journey with the breeding world?
So as you know, my family that, I'm the very first one that was involved with horses at all. So I had, my heart horse mare. I got her when I was 10 years old. I made state championships in rodeo. We made nationals together. She was just luck, honestly, that she came into my life, but I begged and begged and begged to breed her. And rightfully so. My parents just kept saying, none of us know what we're doing. Like maybe breeding a horse isn't what we should do in our 1 acre in the middle of suburbia. So eventually I went to college rodeo for Oklahoma State, and my rodeo coach's daughter bought that horse. We called her Skittles. And she won everything under the sun. At every rodeo she entered, they would just beat the socks off the old people. I mean, they were incredible together. And eventually they pulled an embryo and had a little colt. And now I own that gelding. And it's so fun. I never realized how much would really be passed down. Obviously, skill set, I knew that. But it's just kind of like having a clone of her again all over in my life. He's now 8. And his mannerisms are the same. He acts just like her in every way. I mean, it's just been a dream come true and so much fun.
And I've had the pleasure of meeting your horse, Johnny. He is pretty awesome. And I love that, how traits and those things get passed on, and it's pretty amazing how that happens. And we actually have a sponsor of our Sire and Dam program called Edelon, and they actually are based in California. And you can just send them a little tiny bit of your horse's mane or tail, and they can tell you all kinds of things, not only as far as athletic ability, but whether they're spooky or not and what that all is about. And I mean, it's pretty fabulous, all the different things we can do now with breeding and genetics testing. So what a really good story.
It's just been so fun, and it's so neat, even if you're not looking to breed a horse right now, to your point, just the technology is so fun. I think it's just become a really fascinating part across all Western industry, equine industries as a whole, because it's kind of fun if you're a data junkie, if you're a science junkie, if you just kind of nerd out on watching horses go around in a show pen and seeing if they're like their parents or not. So all of that genetic stuff is really, I think, a fun way for people to plug in.
Well, and right now it's so neat. You have a foal where you keep your horse, Johnny, and it's actually one of our fellow coworkers. She bred her mare and had a beautiful little foal. Do you want to tell us more about Lauren's baby?
Yeah, Lauren will be so excited to hear this. Lauren has a mare that she lovingly calls Cookie. And so she hopes to have other babies and have them all be named different cookies in the jar, so to speak. So Ginger Snap was born a few months ago. Yeah. And oh my gosh, she's so cute. And Lauren runs our affiliate program at NRHA. And she's just so brilliant and passionate about the whole reining industry and has been a reiner her whole life. And so hopefully we'll all get to see Cookie in some show results one day.
I think that's awesome. And I want to, I've always said it's a bucket list thing of mine. Maybe I'll have to redo it when I'm retired and have a lot of time on my hands. Hopefully I'll have time on my hands to be able to actually start a foal. I've started a few 3-year-olds in my career, but I've never actually worked with a foal from the ground up. And I think it's all so very exciting and so wonderful of a process.
I think that'd be so much fun. And maybe you'll even utilize NRHA's Sire and Dam program when you do it.
That's a really good point.
We are so excited to welcome our first guest, Dr. Nathan Canaday. He is the horse division manager and veterinarian at the 4-6's Ranch with 13 years of dedicated service to the ranch. He received his associate degree in science at Otero Junior College and pursued his Doctor of Veterinary Medicine at Colorado State University, where he received several awards. Dr. Canaday completed 2 undergraduate internships at the 4-6's Ranch in 2006 and 2007 and was employed full-time in 2011. As the horse division manager, Dr. Canaday oversees all aspects of the horse breeding program, which includes coordinating breeding schedules, managing horse health, and their well-being. He also handles the veterinary needs of the cattle division at the ranch and offers services to their surrounding ranches as well. The Four Sixes Ranch is also the title sponsor of our NRHA Derby that we just had here in Oklahoma City in June. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are so happy to have you with us. And, for us that are involved in the Western industry, we know the Four Sixes Ranch. It's so iconic. It's such a huge part of the history of the quarter horse and of the Western industry. But we also have some listeners that might not know. So would you mind providing some historical background on the Four Sixes?
Sure, I'd be honored to. So the Four Sixes Ranch has been around since 1870. It was founded by Burke Burnett, and it's been in the Burnett family for over 150 years until Miss Ann, when she passed away in 2020. The ranch then went up for sale. We had quite a few people come look at it, obviously, but thank the good Lord that Taylor Sheridan is the one who ended up buying it. And I think he closed on the ranch in early 22. And so for the past 2 years, it's been under his ownership, and we're continuing just as strong as ever, if not stronger, moving on and growing, and very excited to be in the horse industry, involved in multiple facets, really. But so all that to say, the ranch has been around for a really, really long time, and it's been under the same family and same management for a long, long time. So it has a long history, and it's not just the recent history that a lot of people see now with the movies and the association with the Yellowstone. We've been a cattle ranch and a horse breeding operation for many, many years.
And so I know we talked a little bit in your bio, Dr. Canaday, about your role there, but what does your typical daily routine look like, especially during breeding season?
Oh, so it varies on a day-to-day basis, but pretty much a good summary is busy. Dr. Britt Conklin, he's a good friend of mine. One time he came out and was visiting at him, consulting on a case, and he goes, it's kind of like eating a bag of Skittles. You never know what kind of color you're going to get. And it's really true. So yes, we do a lot of equine reproduction, and that's kind of our mainstay, our specialty. But we also do a lot of cattle work, and yes, that entails a lot of preg checking in the fall, but also during the spring, which coincides with breeding season, they're calving out heifers and that sort of thing. So sometimes we have to do some dystocia work with the cattle division, help them out. Also, some people have in their mind that as a ranch, we just do our own breeding and our own business, but really, truly, the majority of what we do is breeding for other people. We're a full-on veterinary clinic and breeding facility. We stand, in the mid to upper 20s of stallions. We breed 1,800 mares a year. And so on a given day to day, you never know if you're going to be working just on horses, if you're going to be foaling out a mare, if you're going to be working on a hospital case. We have 3 on-site veterinarians, and we stay busy with general vet work, with reproductive work, and then really, truly, for those of you who know where the Four Sixes is at, we're in the middle of nowhere. And we go 90 miles to go buy groceries in town. And so it's a long ways to the nearest veterinarian and a lot of big ranches. And everybody has a ranch dog, a barn cat, a 4-H show pig or sheep, so the wide variety that we work on keeps it very, very interesting. And that's one of the things I love, because you never know if you're going to be working on $1 million sire or broodmare, or if you're going to be working on a day worker's horse that the guy can't afford to do much. You have to get really creative from a veterinary standpoint. So honestly, I just love the variety. And whenever I wanted to become a veterinarian, one of my passions was I wanted to work on horses for people who work for a living. Whether it's people showing, whether it's cowboys and day workers, but I wanted that bond between a human and a horse is special anyway, but it's even more special between people who rely on their horse for their living.
So true. That's beautiful. I just really, you hear about how people get into a career, but to have that foresight and that feeling of like, these are the horses and the people I want to help, I think that's really a beautiful statement.
And I was blessed to be able to do 2 undergrad internships, which makes me feel really old. But the first one was 18 years ago and 17 years ago at this point. It feels like it was just the other day. But whenever I came down, because I grew up in Colorado, and whenever I came down to the ranch, I just fell in love with the ranch, and I was just like, man, this would be my dream job if I could ever come back here, and so it was more honestly the getting to know the ranch and seeing the ranch and falling in love with the ranch that really truly for me solidified that this was the route I wanted to take as a vet and as a career path.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Canaday, I mean, I love hearing about what brought you to this. And we know that there's a huge shortage right now of people entering the veterinary field, especially for larger animals. Would you mind sharing something that you've learned from being in this field that you think that maybe those younger people considering entering it might be able to really learn a lot from?
Sure. That's a good question, because you're right. Whether you're talking veterinarians, horse trainers, breeders, there is such a need and demand for good, reliable help. So to me, I guess couple quick points is, one is dream big. So I know I'm very, very blessed, and I know that. 2, I fell in love with the ranch, and I said to myself, this would be my dream job to get to come back here. And so I pestered Dr. Blodgett to death when I was in vet school until he hired me, and then I persisted and stayed on until, and so one thing is dream big. Don't be afraid to be like, whether you're a horse trainer and you want to say, hey, someday I want to win the Derby, or whether it's a breeder and someday I want to breed a horse that makes it to the Derby, or I want to own this ranch, or I want to manage this, or, don't be afraid to dream big. But with that is you have to be persistent, because the horse industry is not easy. You do have to work hard, and you have to put in the hours. And one of the trainers that rides some of our horses, he brought a horse for me to look at the other day, and I was visiting with him, and he goes, he's like, those of us in this horse industry, we're crazy, aren't we? I said, well, yeah, I guess we are. but so dream big, but also don't quit. Me and my wife always had a saying that we would tell each other or text each other, but it's be great. In everything we do, strive for excellence, be great. Mm-hmm. So that'd be the 3 things is dream big, don't quit, and be great.
I love all of that so much. And that I think is so good for everyone to hear, not just young people that are entering a career. So good. Mm-hmm. So I know the 4-6, of course, is there, like you said, in the middle of nowhere, Texas. But what sets the 4-6's ranch apart from other breeding facilities in our horse industry?
Sure. So one of the things that, let's see if I can articulate it well, but we have a long history and legacy at doing things excellent, whether it's ranching, whether it's raising horses, breeding horses, doing veterinary work. We've been successful for 150 years. And so with that, there's that long history and legacy and all that richness that comes from the past. But it's not enough to live in the past, obviously. So to me, what makes it great is we have all that history and legacy, but yet we couple that with change and excellence and things like that going forward to continually improve and strive. We always strive to be better. I don't know, a couple quick things to kind of, to illustrate that. So something simple is like horse identification. So we still brand our horses, and every horse has a number brand of the year they were born, who the mare is, who the sire is, and they have the L on their shoulder, which is what we're famous for, is that L on the shoulder. So you can just quickly look at that and see what year the horse was born and who the mom and dad are. But yet we still couple that with technology and doing things newer and better and innovative. And so since 2008, we've been microchipping the horses. And then we have it integrated now with the software program that has all the information about the horse, breeding plans, all that stuff. And then also now we have an app too. So at any point I can pull up any information on any of our horses. And so we try to still maintain our roots and that history of ranching and Texas ranching and the 154 years ago when Burt Burnett started the ranch, all of that sort of stuff. We still have those roots to that rich history, but yet we continually strive to continually improve. even on pedigree and genetics, and we're constantly trying to find new ways of how can we integrate, this bloodline, or what can we do different to be better. And that applies to our breeding, applies to our veterinary work, it applies to our cattle division, and our finances, our operation, hiring interns, veterinarians, everything we do, we just continually strive for excellence. So with that, though, because you said what makes us separate from other breeding farms is not that we're not just in it to make money for ourselves. And like, we stand for a large number of stallions for other people, other stallion owners. And I have lots of conversations, and I tell them all the time, like, my goal is to make you guys successful. My goal is not to make us successful, but because in making you guys successful, yes, we'll be just fine. But if I can make you guys successful and your stallion successful, that's good for all of us, And so, it's just that whole mindset of everything we want to do, we're doing it with excellence and high integrity. Joe Leathers, the general manager of the ranch, Taylor Sheridan, and myself, the three of us, like, we operate at a high level of integrity and continually strive for excellence, which to me just permeates everything we do, to make us stand above the crowd, because it has that trickle down effect in all the way to the semen processing equipment. Like, we use the industry best because we want to know everything there is to know about that semen sample, so that way we can tell you, hey, today's shipment wasn't very good, or today's shipment was really good, or how can we do this better the next time? It's just one example. So I would say what sets us apart is our core principles of how we operate.
Well, I am blown away by that example of all of that. And I think what's really neat about what you just hit on too is just all of the different pieces that go into it. Like, yes, your excellence and your attention to detail and all of that for sure sets y'all apart. But I think for those listening, especially younger people, just the amount of jobs that you just listed and roles that go into this, I think people think I can be a horse trainer, or I could be a vet and maybe a chiropractor. But just to hear all of those different examples of potential jobs and career paths and what we need in this industry, that is a piece that was very unexpected to me at the beginning of this podcast. And I really hope young people listening, take out a pen and paper or text a friend like, hey, did you know that this job even exists? Yeah.
It's true. It takes a whole team. And the way we always refer to each other is we're a ranch family. It's not just a job for us, because we live on the ranch. We all eat together. We have Miss Susie. She cooks breakfast and lunch for us. So we all live together essentially on the ranch. We all eat together and we all work together. We are a ranch family. And that's what it takes. Like, when you're in the horse industry, like, really, truly, you got to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And Dr. Canaday, you gave some incredible advice to people at any facet of their life, and that dream big, don't quit, be great. And I'm sure you've received some great advice from mentors along the way. What is some of the best advice you received?
Oh man, that's a good one, because just like I mentioned, it takes a great team to run an operation as big as the Six is. It takes, to be successful, you have to have lots of good help and mentorship along the way. And I know I definitely couldn't be where I was at if it wasn't for multiple key people in my career path and my education and all of that. But kind of two things really stood out to me when you asked that question that kind of popped in my mind was, one, Dr. Blodgett, he managed a horse division for 40 years prior to when he passed away at the end of 22. And I was blessed to work with him for 16 years. But one time when I was doing my first internship at the ranch in 2006, and I was falling in love with the ranch and kind of solidifying my dreams of, yes, I want to be a vet and all that kind of stuff. And I was on shutdown duty one night, and the horse was colicking, and I had to call him for help. And so he came down and he was working the case up, and I was holding the horse, and I just vividly remember this like it was yesterday. But Dr. Blodgett was real quiet and didn't say much, and so finally I couldn't stand it anymore, and I just kind of wanted to know what he was thinking. So I said, well, what do you think, Doc? Do you think he has a twisted gut? And he looked at me and he goes, you have a lot of potential, and I do believe you're going to go on to be a successful vet, but you do have to speak a little bit more intelligent because you sound ignorant when you speak like that. Using the term twisted gut, because, from a vet perspective, you have a colon torsion, you have small intestine strangulation, you have all these very specific descriptors, that fall under quote unquote twisted gut, and he just like, so that his point was speak intelligently, you don't want to sound ignorant, and so that kind of always stuck with me. And then another time when I was in vet school, I was helping at a breeding farm in Colorado, and Dr. Ryan Coy was letting me give an IV shot. And I just got the needle in, got a good flash of blood, and then all of a sudden there was chaos in the stalks next to us. I don't even remember if the horse was jumping out or something. And of course, I turned my head and I just started watching the wreck unfold beside us. And I remember him getting after me pretty sternly about, when you're a vet, when you're a leader, when you're in charge, whatever, wherever you're at in life, if you're doing something, so in this case, an IV shot, you need to focus on that and don't get distracted by the chaos around you. And I just remember that day so vividly. But then there's been so many times where there's different situations, and oftentimes as a vet or a leader, it seems like everything's crashing around you, but you still have to stay focused on what you were supposed to be doing, because it may be something very crucial, like giving an IV shot, because you can mess that up and then make the bad situation even worse, and so, to me, that was just some good advice of you have to stay focused, even if everything else around you seems like it's going to pot. Stay focused and do a good job of what you were doing. So that was another important lesson I felt like that mentor gave me as well.
Those are both fabulous lessons. And I'm so glad you brought up Dr. Blodgett. He and I knew each other through American Horse Council. He would always come to DC every June, and we go up to Capitol Hill and talk about horse issues to our congressmen and those types of things. And he was always, quite frankly, a mentor of mine. I would always pick his brain and ask him things, and what a neat guy. So I'm so glad that you brought him up today. Wonderful. So those of us in the Western industry have known about the 4-6s, for a long time, but we did notice an uptick in popularity with those outside of the industry because of the Yellowstone franchise. Can you talk to us a little bit more about this momentum and how it is? Have you ever been involved in one of the TV shows? Have you ever been there when they've been filming? What has all that been like for you?
Sure. So, they're definitely, I do think, Taylor has brought some great popularity, some great light to our way of life in the horse business, with ranching and that sort of thing. Obviously very intimately so when he bought the ranch. So yes, that question had a lot packed in there, but so yes, I have been around some whenever they've done some of the filming, and to me it's so neat, because I've never been around any of that, but it's so neat to see the professionalism and the detail that they pour into every one of the episodes. I was able to see them film some for Yellowstone and for 1883. And
cool.
They whenever they build a set, like they built Doan's Crossing out on one of our pastures in the ranch in 1883. And they legit built a general store out there. They didn't have some fake prop. The amount of detail that they put into it was to me, what you expect out of a movie, not a TV episode. And the crew, I don't know, I think a lot of people have preconceived notions, and I maybe was guilty of that too, but all the staff that came in, and they had guys come in that their job was to use some sort of acid to make the wood look like it was 100 years old. But they're like professionals at that, and they are very good, and they do a good job at it. And so, it's neat to watch that in the amount of detail, and, but the other, aspects of the question that you had asked, is the Yellowstone effect. And that is definitely a thing. I think everybody's experienced it, whether you're in reining, whether you're in ranching, the Western way of life has brought so much popularity to it. And sometimes it's not necessarily realistic, but it is good television. But it has made people very interested in horses and the Western way of life, which I do think is obviously huge and amazing. One time Taylor told me that he'd asked somebody, what's the most popular ranch in America? And they said, oh, well, Yellowstone Ranch. And of course he was devastated because he's like, no, that's not even a real ranch. It's the 4-6 ranch. And anyway, so I know that's his goal is, and it's so neat watching it, over the last couple of years and getting to know him and how much he's poured into the ranch in wanting to make it successful and help us grow and take everything to the next level. And part of that is, we're very committed to the horse industry. We're very involved with making the world the best ranch horses, but also we're involved with the Cutting Horse Association, the Rein Cow Horse Association, the Reining Association with y'all. And the performance horse sector, like we're very passionate and want to be involved with that. Cade McCutcheon been riding finals bound for us. And, we have quite a few other stallions and horses that we're showing in the NRHA. Stopping in Jersey was at the Derby this year and stuff. So we're very involved personally with our ownership of it and going to be in the breeding going forward as well. But to me, it's, I like to take a step back and like see the big picture too of yes, we're involved with each of these big associations, right? Reining cow horse, cutting horses and all that. But like, to me, it positions us in such a unique position because like I'm a big believer too in hybrid vigor in terms of breeding, because so many times each discipline gets so focused on almost inbreeding and then you get into a big old genetic bottleneck. But so like for just one example, this year I bred a whole bunch of my ranch mares, which are cow-bred mares, to a bunch of our reining stallions. I've actually done that the last 2 years. And the babies that have come out of them are so cool looking. And I'm so excited about how they're going to make, both in reining and ranching and rein cow horse, really, truly. So it's kind of, to me, a fun, we like, just like I said earlier, like we have all this rich history and legacy behind us, but yet we're changing and evolving and growing and trying new things. And so to me, that's kind of, we're poised for a fun future, I guess you could say. I'm not sure if I covered all the things on your question because you asked a bunch there, but so yes, the Yellowstone effect is real, and but that has allowed us to do a lot of fun things like pairing with the NRHA.
Well, fun almost seems like an understatement because it's just really exciting to watch, and I know we feel excited to be part of it. At the beginning of the podcast today, Christy and I actually talked about the Run for a Million coming up and just what Taylor's done, and it's really fun to be at that event and be with so many people that are truly there because of learning about the 4-6s and because of the show.
Yeah.
And
that Run for a Million is such a neat event to me because, you bring in the best reining horses, right? And then you bring in the best cow horses and the best cutting horses. And then, and then you also started the cowboy class too, so you get all these different people that normally, like I know a lot of cutters, for example, you'd never catch them at a reining event. But yet you have all those trainers and all those fans and all those people from all those disciplines all together in one facility. And really what it's doing is it's uniting the horse industry. And we so need that, because we just need to be unified together because we all have the same love of a horse. And so I think he's created something very special there as well.
Absolutely. And we all talk a lot about how, when we rise by lifting others, us helping each other, regardless of what industry, it's good for all of us. It's good for building fans. And we know fans are going to want to know more about 4-6s when they listen to this podcast today. What's the best way for them to reach out to you guys and learn more about the 4-6s and really get connected?
Sure. So we have the 4-6s website, www.6666range.com. On that website, there's a history section, and it has a whole bunch of information about the Burnett family and all the past 150 years history associated with the ranch. On there that we have links to our supply house where there's merchandise. We have links to, we have a lot of cool partners that we're doing things with. We have where you can do direct to consumer beef, and you can go buy 4-6s steaks or beef and get it shipped straight to your home. We have the stallion page, and on the stallion page, you can click on every one of the stallions. It pulls up everything about the stallion, And during breeding season right now, like if you did it right now, it wouldn't be active, but we have where our contracts are online and you can just click on it, fill it out. It's so user friendly. You can even do it on your phone. But you can order semen. You can look up pictures and videos of each of the stallions and their genetic information. And so our website is a wealth of information. We also have a fantastic marketing team that keeps our social media, Facebook, Instagram, all of that up to date. And, we're with as big as the 4.6 as it is in the number of horses that we have that are showing, the number of babies that are out there from our stallions and our broodmare and that sort of thing. There's constantly, new stuff put out, new news, new updates and all that kind of thing. So social media is also a good platform to stay up to date with us.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Canaday. You covered everything. I had a bunch of things in here. I hope we talk about this, and this, and I'm checking it all off as we go. So we just so appreciate you being such a longtime corporate partner of the National Reining Horse Association, and we so appreciate this information more about the 4.6s and everything that you do there. So we really appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you.
Yes, of course, and it's our honor to partner with y'all.
Oh my gosh, Christy, I am leaving that interview feeling so inspired. I literally have dream big, don't quit, be great on a sticky note on my monitor of my computer.
Yes. He was like a motivational keynoter. So good.
We knew he's brilliant. We knew how incredible the 4.6 historically has been, where it's going, how incredible that is. I mean, we knew all of this, but the motivational speaking part, I just did not expect. And I am so inspired.
It was excellent. And now I'm so excited to have our next guest on, John Tague, and we'll talk a little bit more about him in a moment, because it's a very different jump, not only because Toyon focuses a little bit more on mares, they also have stallions too, but also just, his background. You'll find out here in just a second about him as well.
John Tague has been in aviation for most of his career. He was the president of United Airlines and also the CEO of Hertz. Now he is the owner of Toyon Ranch in Pilot Point, Texas. Hi, John. Welcome to the show today.
Thanks. Great to be with you guys.
So I'm just going to jump right in because, wow, your career has been fascinating. And I want to know what airplanes and horses have in common.
Oh, gosh, this is like Jeopardy. They're both transportation,
Yes.
and one paid for the other.
I think that is fabulous. So tell us more about Toyon Ranch from the aspect of why Pilot Point, how did that name come to be, all of those things.
Oh, Nancy and I came to Texas for me to do a brief run running a private equity portfolio company on an interim basis. And Nancy decided she wanted to stay. We've known each other for over 50 years, and we met through horses. And appendix quarter horses, I actually used to show in the General Hunter Jumper Circuit and always had a fondness for them. So we decided to pursue a lifelong dream of having a breeding program.
So why the name Toyon? How did that come to be?
That I can blame Nancy for that because I've been asked 100 times since. But Toyon is both a native plant of California, but more importantly, it was the name of a farm that was down the street from the home that Nancy lived in, that she used to go down there and sit on the fence and watch the horses.
That's so sweet. I love that. Well, John, our episode today focuses a lot on breeding and what to look for, and obviously the quality of our reining horses we've just seen grow so much with every show. I feel like that's one of the main key talking points after. So what are some tips and tricks you have on what to look for in a quality breeder of reining horses, or really across all disciplines for that matter?
Well, I think it's, the best you can hope for in a relationship with a breeding program, and from my perspective with a customer, is to have a relationship that feels like a long-term relationship as opposed to a transaction. So there are, very few people, and it's a small world, who operate in the reining horse world, and particularly those that are seeking the best possible prospects. There just aren't that many of them, and so it's important that you deal with someone that you feel from a reputation perspective will treat you the way they want to treat you on the 10th transaction, not just the first. And we'll be candid with you and honest about what they have in their program that fits for your objective and what wouldn't fit?
I love long-term relationship versus a transaction. Obviously with what I do for NRHA, with our sponsors and partners, I always talk to all of them about we want to market your product or service. We don't just want to say, hey, thanks so much for that cash and now see you later. So I love that you think about that in the same perspective. And I know there at Toyon, you guys are known for your mare power. So go ahead and tell us a little bit more about some of your favorite mares, your most influential ones, and why. What drives your passion to have a mare-based program?
I've never been one that tries to allocate what percentage the mare is versus the stud. I presume they're both equal in many respects. But via a stud fee, you can rent the stud. It's extremely hard to get access to some of the greatest mares within the industry. So being mare-based in terms of the beginnings of our program provided us with real differentiation versus many other breeders. And we really felt like that was the asset that we really wanted. We can keep them for a long time. We have a relationship with them. We've got some great stallions here, but it's very difficult to make a successful stallion. And thankfully, a lot of our owners have committed to doing that and have been successful. But we actually sold Patriot about a month before the Tulsa Futurity when he was a 3-year-old. We felt very, very strongly that he was going to be a stud, but that was the moment in time that we decided to really build our program strength and differentiation on the mare.
Well, and John, you talked about kind of moving to the stallion route and bringing some of those stallions into your program. How did you pick which ones to stand there now today to help grow that program?
Well, generally, first they have to pick us, and then we decide who we're going to pick. So we've been very fortunate to have a number of great stallion owners select Toyon to stand their stallions. Certainly, one of the differentiations, we provide as good a care and marketing as anyone. I think one of the differentiations of our program in terms of a stallion station is the stallions we bring here, we are committed to breeding some of our best mares too. And that's really where you're eating your own cooking, so to speak. It's very difficult for junior stallions to get access to the mare quality that we have here. So we can play a big role in making a stallion. The other thing I would say that's pretty much common throughout the stallions we're fortunate to stand is they all come from great bottom sides. And we really, really believe in the strong mare line underneath the sire in terms of a breeding stallion in particular. I mean, obviously, we want to see performance. We want to see conformation. We want to see attitude. But it's an enormous foundational head start to have great bloodlines on top and on the bottom. And I think that's what differentiates many of our stallions.
It makes complete sense. And we are so proud to have you there at Toyon Ranch as a corporate partner of the National Reining Horse Association. And for years now, you have done so much with our rookie program and getting our folks that are just started into reining to become a part for us and to be part of the whole program and hopefully one day have their own horse that they want to breed and continue that lineage for themselves. So tell us a little bit more about why you and Nancy chose to do the rookie program and why it's so important to you.
Well, this is probably the third or fourth discipline we've entered on a serious basis. I hope the last one, because it's certainly the one we've been most committed to. But one of the things that we found so unique about the reining community when we started up, well, I guess in 2012, probably with Nathan Piper, and Nathan did a fabulous job for us for a number of years on our futurity horses, is the community was just very welcoming. And that is distinctive, maybe because we're a bit smaller than some other folks, but I think it's a distinct part of the reining culture is to be welcoming to new participants. And we felt, well, what better way than to ease the path into competition by providing the complimentary entry fee through the rookie program. And obviously, it's not a staggering amount of money for each of those individual folks, but I think sends them the strong message that there are people in this community that want to welcome you to their community.
I think that's so true. And we've talked about that a lot on this podcast in different ways. But the thing I always circle back to is it is such a strong community, but also where on earth could someone truly, it's, the same as someone walking up to an NFL player and asking to take a lesson, or walking up to an NFL player before they're about to go into the Super Bowl and say, hey, would you mind helping me for a minute? And we do have access to those professionals, and they are willing to do that and bring others into the community. So I think it's neat to hear from all different angles how willing everyone is to bring new people in. And this was really a beautiful way to do it. It's been so fun to watch the program grow throughout the years, thanks to your contributions.
Well, it's been fun for us too. And obviously it's a positive impact on a lot of folks. And we find for ourselves, as well as folks, many of the folks that are involved in reining, a significant reason they're here is the camaraderie. It's not just the love of horses, which is foundational, but they really find a camaraderie within the reining community that is unique, especially for folks, frankly, that have been involved in other types of disciplines.
Absolutely true. It really is so special. And I love that you touched on that today. And John, we know people are going to want to learn more about Toyon Ranch. And so what is the best way for them to reach out to you or maybe come visit and see how beautiful it is for themselves?
Well, our website is toyonranchllc.com. We're based in Pilot Point. We have a Facebook page. Our sort of ranch page is Toyon Ranch LLC. And we're always open to the public, both the Stallion Station as well as the Prospect Program. And we're delighted to have anybody come visit. As I tell folks, you don't have to buy a horse. Just come and visit. And over time, you'll learn more and we'll learn more about what you might want in the future. But we're delighted to have visitors, whether they're in a market for a horse or not.
Thank you so much, John, for being on our podcast today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, you guys, very much.
Christy, if we had $1 for every person that came on the podcast and talked about how welcoming the reining community was, just completely unprovoked, regardless of the subject, I really think we could maybe go on like a vacation. I don't know.
I was thinking the same thing. And you know what? It's true. I felt that same way coming in as even staff. I just feel that the love of the horse, as John mentioned, is what gets us all started in it. But then there's something about the community of folks that hang out in the reining pen. They really are down to earth. And I loved your analogy of being able to go up to some top, NFL players or whoever and go, hey, can I come over and learn how to, do stuff with you? And that's what happens, right, at our shows. And it's just fantastic.
It really is. It's truly just a testament to the community, I think. And John's right. It starts with the love of the horse, but there is just something special that keeps people in and really hooked once they just come and see it for themselves.
Well, and thank you to everyone today for listening to this breeding episode. We will definitely have more reining breeders on in the future to kind of share things and what's important to them. I love today that we focused quite a bit on the mare with Toyon, but then also we had a lot of love for the stallion too, right? At 4/6s, because it takes both to make a good foal. So I thought that was really good. And so for anybody that wants to tune into any of our past episodes, they are all available. We have been doing these now for over a year, and you can go to nrha.com/podcast. You can also find it on our Facebook page. And we would just love to have you listen to some past episodes. And if you ever have any questions or want to reach out to Sarah and I, you can just go to the contact page of the NRHA website and find both of us. And we are happy to reach out to you in any way via phone, email, whatever you would like.
Absolutely. We look forward to hearing from you. But now go out and have the slide of your life.